I was looking all over for my phone, which I use to shoot the Instagram live videos, and I panicked because I was like, for about the last 3 minutes, and then I realized it's on the tripod. So here I am. Hello, welcome. Happy Monday, and it does feel like a happy Monday. I started using my lumiotherapy lamp, which you look at, you keep next to your face for 20 minutes a day, and it replicates daylight. I'm taking my vitamin D, so I'm getting that, and that's supposed to make you happier. And it was a sunny day. People were wearing shorts and t-shirts, even though it wasn't that warm. Anyhow, people are out and about, festive mood, and today I thought it would be a good day to make hot chocolate again. It was funny because this is Belgian hot chocolate, and I wrote on my Facebook page, this is Belgian style hot chocolate, where I said, it's a European Belgian style hot chocolate. And of course, somebody pointed out, they said, well, you do know Belgium is in Europe. We just had a pause there. I was just checking the connection. Hello in Austin. So CBD. You know what? I've been taking the CBD drops for sleeping. The problem is that taste is in my mouth all night, and I'm very sensitive to taste, and I don't know how to get rid of it. And there are candies and stuff you can take, but I'm not sure. Then I get thirsty in the middle of the night. I get dry mouth and so forth. So I'm trying to balance that out. Anyhow, somebody mentioned, Belgian style, European, and I said, well, I just added style because nowadays when you make something, often people say that's not authentic, or in Belgium we never put this in it. So it's Belgian style because I learned to make this in Belgium. I wrote a book called The Great Book of Chocolate a number of years ago, and it was really fun because I got to learn. It was right when there was like one bean to bar chocolate maker in America, Scharfenberger, and chocolate was sort of becoming a thing, and so people were starting to think about like the brand of chocolate, the percentage of chocolate, the cacao in it, where it's from, and so forth. It was very exciting. So I thought, well, I'm going to go to Belgium, and because Belgium is really well known for its chocolate, and I went to school there. I went to the Callebaut. I found these in the drawer. It was funny. I went to Callebaut, and people often, and this is backwards because this is in selfie mode, but people often say Callebaut, but it's not a French name, it's a Flemish name. So it's pronounced Callebaut. And I don't like to correct people's pronunciation of things, because I make a lot of flubs too, but I'm just putting that out there. So I went to school there. I went to their chocolate school, which was great because the teachers were awesome, really nice guys, and they're really accomplished chocolatiers. And I said, do you miss working in a restaurant? They're like, absolutely not. We get to go home every night. We see our families, and we're treated very well here. And they were wonderful people. Callebaut has merged with Cacao Berry, which is a French company, and I actually have one of their things. So this is my vintage one, and this is my newer one, I guess. So theoretically, somebody can point out that this isn't necessarily Belgian, because I might be using some Belgian chocolate or Belgian French chocolate, but we're just gonna call it today because you know what? We're under lockdown, and what happens during lockdown stays in lockdown. And which reminds me, I forgot to get the whipped cream out of the fridge, but I'm gonna grab that in a minute. Anyway, I was also prompted to make this because this morning we get these supermarket flyers in France, and I always think they're funny. I put them on my Instagram stories once in a while, because people often think, oh, everyone in France goes to the market and they buy, beautiful produce. Not everybody has time to go to the market yet. If you have a 9-to-5 job, people don't work till 5, they work till 7. The day starts later. They don't have time to go to the market, so they have to go to the supermarket like most people. So I just, I like looking at these, and there's things like, you can buy pre-made hamburgers, burger patties. They have like breaded fish, aka fish sticks. But they also have things like Belgian endive. Like you can get a kilo, 2 pounds for $1.79. In America, when I go there, it's like $3 a spear. I was so excited because I had avocados for €2 for 2, and they didn't have any to be found. But you can get things like bags of croissants for $2 and so forth. So anyway, on the back, they were having a sale on milk chocolate. And because I am my mother's son, I cannot resist a sale. And even though it's not Swiss, it's not Belgian, Switzerland is not Europe, so you can't say European style Swiss. You could say, well, maybe you could. You can't say Swiss style European chocolate. Okay, I don't know. There's a lot going on there. Okay, I'm like digging myself. But they were having 3 bars for us. I bought a lot of 3. This hot chocolate, I learned to make it Vitamau. Vitamau is a chocolate shop in Brussels, and it's sort of considered sort of the classic Belgian chocolate shop. Belgian chocolate is different than French chocolate. Belgian chocolate is a little sweeter, and they like a lot of cream. When I worked there, they made these chocolates that were filled with whipped creme fraiche, and they had to make them right before they sold them because they didn't last very long. And you would put this thing in your mouth, and like this crisp, super thin shell of chocolate would sort of burst in your mouth, and then all this like whipped creme fraiche, like this tangy, little sweet cream would just, it was like, what did I just eat? This is amazing. So those were great to eat, but they have a cafe and they make really good hot chocolate there. And it was very interesting working there. I learned a lot. It was very hard work. And then there's a lot of stories in there. I did write about it in the book, a little story. Someday I'll write a longer story about what happened, because it was very interesting. But it was, Belgium is known for its chocolate. So this is a Belgian style chocolate, which they make at Wittemer, which is the premier Belgian chocolate shop, I guess you could say. One thing that was interesting there, when they tie a ribbon around the packages, the writing, this is years ago, maybe it might have changed, but the writing was in English. It would say like happy birthday, and I said, well, why don't you, why don't you have it in French, They go, well, we speak 2 languages here in Belgium. There's French and Flemish, and if we do one, we have to do the other, so it's easier just to do everything in English. And that wasn't the owners who said that. That was somebody who worked in the kitchen, so I didn't say anything. Just saying hello. Yes, vitamin D. Hello, Brad Parsons. How are you? Hello in Kansas, and Texas, and Long Island, and Seattle in the Netherlands, and San Francisco. Encore du chocolat chaud, oui. Houston, the Presidio, Texas, Albany, New York, North Virginia, Harrisburg. Hello, Harrisburg. And hello in the Seine-et-Marne, which is a region outside of Paris, which I've been to a lot. It's very interesting there. Anyway, so if you watched the other day, I made a Parisian hot chocolate, which is very thick, rich hot chocolate. And I bought some marshmallows to show you. It's not very French to put marshmallows on hot chocolate. When I wrote my book, Drinking French, which is somewhere around here, this recipe for marshmallows in there, and my editor was like, really, marshmallows? I just have to have marshmallows. So I had these marshmallows, and they come in these bags of pink and white ones. And I was saying last week when I was talking about these marshmallows, I said, well, I don't really like them because I don't like the pink ones. Who wants a pink marshmallow? So Romain has eaten all the white marshmallows and left the pink ones. So we can't say French people like the, I guess French people like the white ones too, or at least Romain. I don't know if he counts. Anyway, so this hot chocolate has both cream and milk in it, or half and half. And the recipe that I have this recipe is on my blog. I linked to it in my Instagram stories, in my Instagram profile today. It's a lot to talk about. And yet I've said nothing. So people often ask me, they go, what's half and half? I was like, well, you can Google it and find out. It's funny because they write to me, which takes a few, you have to go through a page and then go to my contact form and write to me, wait for a response. I'm like, I'm happy to tell you, but I do have a post on my blog. It says what half and half is, but you can just type it and Google will tell you. It's like people often say, I don't understand American recipes. What's a stick of butter? And I don't use that measurement because I find it sort of old-fashioned. It's like, you can Google that. So Google works, usually. So this recipe you can either use half and half. I believe they use cream and milk in Belgium, and I just changed the recipe because it's easier to buy half and half in America. But since we're not in America, I do have heavy cream. What's very interesting is France is the land of fat. There's a lot of people, there's foie gras, cheese, and so forth. But it's very hard to get heavy cream that's, like in America, it's usually 36%. In France, it's usually 30%. And 30% is a little challenging to whip. I don't know why. And it's very hard to get not sterilized whipped cream. And this is not sterilized whipped cream. Oh, it is. They got me. But this is unusual to find a quart at a store. So the recipe calls for 2 cups of either whole milk or half and half. And what is half and half? Half cream, half milk. So I'm going to use 1 cup of each. And that's a total of 500 milliliters for the people who live outside the US who use metrics. And someday we'll switch in America, and then my job will be 50% easier, or I'll make 50% less mistakes. So for this recipe, I like to heat up just some of the cream and milk, or half and half. And then I'm going to move the camera so you can see, but I'm going to look at the comments and say hello. Because happy Monday, yes. Okay, let's see. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and move this so you can sort of see what I'm doing. I was cheap and bought this short tripod. No, I'm just kidding. Okay. There we go. So the recipe calls for 2 ounces. I'm doing half a recipe. The recipe on the blog makes twice as much. So I've got 2 ounces of milk chocolate here. One thing people often tell me, they go, I don't like milk chocolate. It's not chocolate. It's like, well, it's not. It's milk chocolate. It's got milk in it. So it's different than chocolate. It's like saying, I don't like hamburger because it's not steak. Or that might not be the perfect thing. It's like, I don't like coffee, with milk. I don't like a latte because it's not coffee. It is coffee. It's coffee with milk in it. Am I getting closer? Anyway, European milk chocolate has 30% cacao solid, which means 30% cocoa bean in it. Whereas dark chocolate usually has between 35 and 90% cocoa. And that's what's called the percentage. When you see 60% chocolate, that's how much cocoa mass or cocoa bean is in the chocolate. In the United States, the minimum is 10%. So if you buy a Hershey's bar or a bar at the supermarket, it's like 10%. And that's why they're usually not the most delicious candy bars in the world. Whereas in Europe, they have to be at least 50%. And this is from Switzerland, so you're welcome to leave in the comments that that's not in Europe, but that's probably the rule in Switzerland as well. Okay. And I don't love milk chocolate, but I got to like it when I was writing my chocolate book because I sort of understood it more. And I started eating these high percentage ones. Because people just think, oh, it's Hershey bar or Nestle's bar. So I've got 2 ounces here. Let me see. Got to switch between. I've got 2 1/3. All right. So I'm going to add that to the milk, which should be warming up. It usually helps if you turn the heat on. Fun. And sometimes you can get milk chocolates made with like sheep's milk or goat milk. And those are very delicious too. I like all chocolate. even M&M. All right, so this is our regular bittersweet chocolate. And I'm going to get 4 ounces of this. I did a demonstration this weekend for the Little Africa Paris project, and I hadn't done a cooking thing on Zoom ever, and it was very interesting. By the way, this weekend I'm doing with Context Travel a French aperitif seminar for 90 minutes. It's going to be all about French aperitifs, the history. There's going to be a slideshow, some recipes, and you can find out more about that on my schedule page on my blog. Also, the time is at 1 p.m. Eastern US time. For some reason, the Facebook page is showing it France time, and I'm not doing it at 11 at night, so otherwise I'll be hammered. And Brad Parsons has seen me drink at 11 p.m., and it's not a good thing to see. Right, Brad? It's funny because at my age, I have this thing about bar stools. Like, I need a bar stool with a back because I'm afraid I'm going to fall off. And I think it's also in the age of social media, because if you fall off your bar stool, someone's going to take a picture. All right, I'm almost there. If I stop talking, I'd be there. All right, 4 ounces. Also, when I was in Belgium, the chefs, every piece of chocolate got used. It was amazing. And they were super nice. Did I say that? So let me get my whisk. I'll use this one. And yes, they do make really good hot chocolate in other parts of the world. In Mexico and in Spain. Now, people were asking me online today, have you ever had it with chilies? Yes, it's quite good with chilies. In Paris, they don't usually put chilies in it because it's not a chili city. That said, I found these chilies at my market and I was shocked. And I don't know what kind they are, and I chopped this up because I'm using it for something else and I wasn't planning to talk about it. But these are really spicy. I was very surprised that I asked them what kind it is, and they didn't know. But it's very rare to find those small, really hot chilies, except if you go to the multicultural neighborhoods, and they have these ones that they're round and they're really wrinkled, and they're from the Antilles, and they're quite hot. Whenever I go to buy one, they always go, "It's very hot, monsieur. C'est très, très pimenté." I'm like, I know, I love that. All right, so this is all melty. And I usually melt it with just a smaller amount of the half and half first. And then I add the rest. Now, the other day when I made hot chocolate, I made the Parisian hot chocolate, I said something and then I didn't finish my thought, and I got a lot of questions about that. I said if you make hot chocolate in advance and you let it sit like this, it'll get thicker the longer it sits. And a lot of people asked me why. And I sort of thought about how to reply, and how the chocolate's an emulsion and there's fat and something. And then I realized, actually, I don't know the scientific reason why. It's kind of one of those things where we all know that chicken fat rises to the top of stock. Salad dressing, if you stir it too much, it emulsifies. There's reasons for all those things, but I don't know the reason why it thickens as it sits. Probably because I don't even want to guess. But when I took food science courses, we learned a lot of that stuff. But I learned also that a lot of the food science classes, they have sponsors from the food producers. So they would tell us all sorts of things, and how good preservatives are, because they allow you to eat a more varied diet, which sounded sort of like talking points. But it was very interesting, and I love So you can see this is melted now. I love food science. And if you know who Harold McGee is, I used to run into him at events in San Francisco. He wrote a book called On Food and Cooking, and it's all about how food science works. He's not a food scientist, but he's a food science writer. He always says that. And if you just sat down with him for 5 minutes or 10 minutes, I would just sit there and just talk to him, and he was so interesting to talk to. So Harold, if you're watching, hello. So this is melted, and you can see it's nice and sort of thick, but it will thicken as it sits. And I made some a little earlier. And you can see that this one is thicker. If that makes sense. And I don't know if you saw the good news, but Pfizer has said that they think that they have a vaccine that has been 90% effective. They tested it on 44,000 people. And the great Dr. Fauci looked at it and he said it's very promising, it's extraordinary, but of course it needs to be researched and peer reviewed. But they're ramping up production to get it. I believe they're ramping up production. They want to have 50 million doses by the end of the year. So nothing's assured yet. It hasn't been published or peer reviewed, but that's extremely good news. So this hot chocolate from Widmer in Brussels has a little pinch of salt. And somebody gave me this Stumptown coffee flavored salt, which would be good in it, just a little bit. This is fleur de sel from France, and it's salt that's harvested off the Atlantic coast. And it's harvested usually in the summer when it's sunny out and the salt comes to the surface of the marshes, and then they rake this very fine layer that's floating on top off, and that's called the fleur de sel, or the flower of salt. And I went there one summer to see it, and of course it was raining, so there was no fleur de sel. We ate at a restaurant right next to these beautiful salt marshes that were built in Roman times, and they harvest the best salt in the world there, fleur de sel de Guérande. And on the tables in the restaurant, they had like those salt shakers, like the industrial ones with like the really crummy salt. And I'm looking out there and I'm seeing all this salt. They had piles of salt under these tarps so they didn't get rain, but and I said to the waitress, I said, why don't you use that salt? It's like right there. She goes, no one's ever said anything before. Anyway, when I was there at the cooperative, which is the salt producers, or the salt, they're called paludiers, the people that rake the salt, and you can sort of see one there. And it used to be a job done by women because they said that men were too brutal and they would break the crust. But it's a fine finishing salt. And I got this little salt cellar there. And every time I bring it out at like a dinner, if I go out to eat, people sort of laugh at me and then they want salt. They go, can I have some? And then they want to know also how to get one of these. And I was like, I don't know, you have to go there and get it. It's in the Guérande. So it was like €7. Next time I go, I'm going to buy a suitcase of them. And I'm going to make enough money to pay for a trip to Thailand for 3 weeks when the vaccine for the virus is ready. So this recipe also has a little bit of cinnamon in it as well. And once again, the French are not, and most French, along with saying Belgian style, you have to say most French, or most Americans, or some Americans, or almost all Americans, because there's always one. I once wrote something that I said, French people don't eat with their hands, and somebody said, well, we went to France and somebody was eating like asparagus with their hands. Okay. Anyway, so French people are generally not fond of a lot of cinnamon. In America, we'll put like a tablespoon in an apple pie, and to the French palate, they're like, well, you don't taste the apples anymore, you taste apples and cinnamon. And the cinnamon can be overwhelming, and I've become that person too, where I don't like a lot of cinnamon, I just appreciate a little bit of it. But if you like a lot, you can use more. The good thing about being an adult is you can do whatever you want, which is something I keep having to remind myself. So just a little bit of cinnamon goes into that. And this is warming up nicely. Yeah, this one I took off. I'm going to turn this on. Super annoying stove. It has a mind of its own. Hello in Los Angeles, Ginsia 2020. You're gonna have to change your Instagram name next year. Oh, Banky Moon. Yes, is your husband Belgian or Flemish? Oh, he's Belgian, yes. Calibut. Calibut. Yeah, not Calibo. And hello, Ben. That's my niece's, any chance of using vegetal milk? Yes, you could use oat milk or almond milk. I wouldn't use coconut milk because it's very strong. So I have a question. So my niece married somebody, a very nice guy. He's a chef as well. He's a chef, I'm not a chef. Anyway, he calls me uncle, and he's more like a peer to me because we both worked in restaurants. But I was like, I don't know if he's my nephew. Does that make, you can let me know. You can leave me a thing in the little comments. I just call it, I don't know, it's awkward to say my niece's husband, but it feels funny to say my nephew because it sounds like a blood relative. So I don't know how that works. So I'm perfectly fine if you're watching. We can stay on the first name basis. I don't want to call him out, but hello in Italy, and not just European Union. Oh, the Aldi flyer every week. We don't have Aldi in Paris. It's kind of interesting. They own Lidl, which is another chain. And the same chain, they own Trader Joe's in the US. But a friend of mine goes to Lidl, and she loves to cook. She's French. And they do have some interesting products there. Chocolate shops in Brussels have the best window displays. It's very interesting. Yes, the shop does still exist. I have a friend in Brussels, and he's Belgian, and he makes chocolates, very good chocolates, and he doesn't like Belgian chocolate. He uses Italian chocolate. So, just putting that out there. But his chocolates are very good. So, this is Belgian, or Belgian style. And I wish I was left-handed, so I could, you're supposed to always do everything to the camera, but I'm not there. I'm not there yet. So you could put marshmallows on it, or I have to, I'll be right back. It's funny because I do Pilates online with teachers. My teachers here in Paris, and they'll be teaching, they'll be showing something. They're like, okay, everybody, lift your legs and lift your arms a lot longer. And we don't know this, but like the screen will have frozen, and we're all holding it for like 30 seconds going, and you look and it's like, she's not moving, nothing's happening. And then we all kind of realize that the screen is frozen. So during the lockdown, probably, maybe it was the first Instagram Live Apéro hour that I did. I made a chocolate frappe from my book Drinking French. It's a cold chocolate drink. It has whipped cream on top. And I didn't know, it was very hard to get groceries then. Things were in stock, but you didn't want to go out. Everyone was terrified. There was no hand gel, masks were hard to get, and so forth. So I bought this at the supermarket, and I used it, and I tasted it, and I was like, I remember that flavor, and it was so good. Because some of you probably grew up with this stuff in the what do you call this, a canister? And the reason I bought this, and I'm just gonna put this out there, I got some criticism because people were like, how can you eat that? It's horrible. There's all sorts of stuff in there. And I was like, well, it says Isigny-Sainte-Mère, which is Normandy, which is where very, very good quality cream is made. some of the best in the world from these cows, Normand cows. They're beautiful. Beurre d'Isigny is famous. The crème d'Isigny is famous. It's wonderful crème fraîche and so forth. So I looked at the ingredients, and there's like, it says it's 91.5% cream, 8% sugar, and vanilla from Madagascar, and then a little emulsifiant, and a little propulsion, and a little stabilizer. So it's got very, very little icky stuff in there, and it's 91.5% cream and 8%, what is that? That's 99.5% good stuff. So it's okay to use this. And I didn't know what to do with the leftover after I did my Instagram Live, so I melted it down and I put it in ice cream because I don't like to waste food. So, and it's fun to use this stuff, and everybody wants to have fun. And I'm afraid it's going to come flying out, so I'm just, there's probably something I have to do. There's going to be an accident here any minute, so prepare to do a screenshot. No. I guess I should have checked this out earlier, but I'm sure you'd all rather, that didn't work. I'm sure you'd all rather see cream than blood, so voila, okay. So, everybody, food is supposed to be fun. And there's nothing more fun than this stuff. So let people enjoy their whipped cream. It's got real vanilla in it. And it's got cream from these amazing cows. The good thing also about milk chocolate is that you can make chocolate curls super easily with it because it's softer than dark chocolate. So you can just take a peeler and make chocolate shavings. So how's that? And my third grade teacher said I'd never amount to anything. Here, check this out. It's funny because I don't drink hot chocolate enough, and which is good because it feels like a treat. It's like I don't put sugar in my coffee. Every once in a while, I'll have coffee with sugar in it for some reason. And I'm like, ooh, it's like a treat. I used to get one of those, and don't stop following me. But I used to get one of those Frappuccino style drinks every once in a while. They have like 9,000 calories and they're really bad, and the coffee's bad, and then whatever. But when it was really hot and it's this cold drink with like a lot of whipped cream on it and caramel or whatever they put in them, it's not the end of the world if you indulge. To Belgium. I don't know how to say, I don't speak Flemish, but if anyone out there is Belgium, thank you very much for your contribution to the world of hot chocolate. I might have to drink this whole thing. It needs more whipped cream. Well, it's almost dinner time here. My mother used to tell me I was going to spoil my appetite, and now I'm 61, and no matter what I eat before dinner, it does not spoil my appetite for dinner. So that's Belgian hot chocolate. If you would like the recipe, it's on my blog. You can find it by going to the search engine and typing in Belgian hot chocolate. Not Belgian style, but Belgian hot chocolate. It's also on if you go to my Instagram profile where my name is, there's a link, and you can just go there and tap on the link and tap on the picture. For those of you that are joining me for my Apéritifs, seminar this weekend with Context Travel. It's on the 15th. And it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be at 1 p.m. Eastern time, and it's almost sold out. So if you were interested in attending, you're welcome to. You don't have to, but if you want to, you can. You can go to my schedule page on my blog to find that info out. And this week, there's a lot of stuff happening. I'm in a really good mood. It's that lumiotherapy. I'm high on lumiotherapy. Bring it on. This week I have 2 super special guests. I am so excited, I can't stand it. One of them is Toby, and I'm going to mispronounce his name, so I'm going to get Brad Parsons can correct me, but Tony Cecchini, Cecchini, it's the C-E-C-C-H-I-N-I. Help, I don't speak Italian very well. He is the owner of one of my favorite bars in the world, the Long Island Bar in Brooklyn, New York, and he makes the best, and I hate saying the word best because it's hard to quantitate the best, but hear me out, he makes the best boulevardier I've ever had. And when I walked into that bar the first time, I saw this glass on the bar, someone was drinking, I said, whatever's in that glass, I want that. And then I tasted it, and when I met him, I said, you are a genius. And he's also the inventor of the Cosmopolitan. So we will meet Toby this week. He's going to be on, I believe, Wednesday night. And then Friday, hello, Jose Ottawa. Bonjour à vous, pardon. Do I ever make hot chocolate with cocoa powder? I don't, because cocoa powder is hard to melt. It stays powdery, and you have to sort of bring it to a boil and manipulate it more. So for me, it's easier to use chocolate. And cocoa powder is low fat, because that's what it is. It's the cocoa bean, where they press the bean, the fat goes shooting out one end, that's cocoa butter. It gets sold to the lipstick industry because it melts at the perfect temperature. It's very valuable. But the powder that's left is cocoa powder. And it's good, and you can use it in low-fat baking. It's great in cakes and so forth as well. But I think I like using regular milk and chocolate because I like that cocoa butter in there. I like that flavor and that the silkiness. That's what makes lipstick so luscious, from what I hear. I've never worn lipstick, but I use a lot of chapstick. So the other guest I'm having this week, who I'm super excited about, is my very good friend, Michael Ruhlman. And he is a character. If you go to the dictionary and look up the definition of character, there's a picture of him. He's a very storied food writer. He's written the French laundry cookbooks. He was very good friends with Anthony Bourdain. And we had such a good time in Mexico. I think we were wrestling after drinking mezcal on the beach and having a lot of fun. He has amazing hair, lots of it, very jealous. But Michael's gonna come and make a drink with us on Friday night, I believe. So that's gonna be super. I'm gonna announce all these on Instagram so you don't have to rely on my memory. On my memory that's hopped up on too much hot chocolate, whipped cream from Hello in Maryland. Whipped cream from Isigny, our friends in Normandy. I love this. Okay. You can tell I'm not faking it because I keep talking about it. Anyway, I'll let you go. Enjoy the hot chocolate. Thank you once again for tuning in. Think good thoughts for the vaccine. Let's do this, people. Let's get over this this whole thing. Wear a mask in the meantime because it's not over yet. Try not to sneeze on people. Keep your distance. Stay home if you can. A friend of mine who's a very well-known infectious disease doctor, he said, stay home, isolate, and stay safe. So I'm going out and buying food as I need it, but that's pretty much it. I'm trying to take care of myself and other people around me. So anyway, thank you for tuning in. Wherever you are, take care of other people. And once again, I also appreciate you chiming in and tuning in on these. So thank you so much. And my book is Drinking French. The copy's on the other side of the kitchen. You probably know the cover. If you feel like getting a copy, I'll be forever grateful. But if you don't, you can keep tuning in and I'll fill in some of the missing pieces here. Okay? All right. I'll try. All right, I'm gonna finish my hot chocolate, and then we're having pizza for dinner tonight, and salad, And then, oh, by the way, tomorrow's Roman's birthday. So all the restaurants are closed. And I was thinking of getting takeout from a restaurant. And I don't know if he's watching, so I can't tell you what I'm doing. His English is still, is getting better, as you know. So tomorrow's his birthday. So I have to figure out what I'm doing for him. But I think I might just get like a whole bunch of oysters and have that with Sancerre or champagne. And I ordered a Paris breast from our favorite bakery in Paris, from Jacques Chenin. So I have to, don't tell him, okay, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have told you. So that's tomorrow, so happy birthday, Roman. So you can go to his Instagram page tomorrow at Roman Pellas, Pellas, and say happy birthday or bon anniversaire, and he'll appreciate it. He'll be like, who are all these people? Okay. Thank you so much for tuning in. I will see you soon. I'll see you in a couple of days. I'll see you, I think, Wednesday. All right, take care of yourselves, take care of other people. Be a super good person. Be the person that you want to surround yourself with. You want everyone around you to be like. So, on that note, hello from Saint-Tropez. Okay, bye-bye.